A massive altar for the red heifer sacrifice has been constructed in Israel, Michael Snyder reports. Since the times of Moses, only 9 red heifers have been sacrificed, and now a massive altar for the 10th red heifer sacrifice has been built in Israel, and there is a tremendous amount of speculation that it could happen soon. In September 2022, 5 red heifers were flown from the state of Texas to the land of Israel, and since that time, one of them has been disqualified, but the other 4 continue to be candidates for a red heifer sacrifice. As I discussed last week, there was a practice run of the purification ceremony in 2023, but an official ceremony must be conducted before the heifer gets too old to be used for such a sacrifice. So will a red heifer be sacrificed in Israel in 2024? According to CBS News, a massive altar has already been constructed, and in the video that I've embedded in the article, Michael Snyder says, you can see footage of this altar starting at the 2-minute mark. I was absolutely floored when I first saw that. A red heifer sacrifice would need to happen on the Mount of Olives, and the land where the sacrifice would be taking place is owned by Rabbi Yitzhak Mamo. According to those working on the project, the ceremony of the red heifer needs to be performed on the Mount of Olives and in a place where that would have looked directly where the temple stood. The land directly east of the Temple Mount, purchased 12 years ago, meets both of those standards. Rabbi Yitzhak Mamo owns the land on the Mount of Olives. Mamo is with Yune Yerushalayim, a group that preserves Israel's history and works to educate future generations. Concerning the specifics of the land, he told CBN News, it had to be exactly at the front of the place that the priest that made this ceremony can see the Holy of Holies place. But the clock is ticking. If the heifers get too old, they will no longer qualify. During a recent public appearance, Mamo explained that, quote, we are very close to the 3rd year of these cows, end quote. He says, if there is any mathematicians here, you can understand that we are very close to the 3rd year of these cows, reveals Mamo, which means that with the help of God, we will get permission from God and from the people to make the ceremony, and then we can be pure, he said. Recently, there has been a lot of buzz that we could actually see a red heifer sacrifice very soon. Last month, All Israel News reported that the Temple Institute wants to conduct a sacrifice before the Passover 2024. As of now, 4 of the heifers remain blemish-free, and according to Temple Institute rabbis, they hope to carry out the ceremony before Passover 2024. And this year, the Jewish people will celebrate Passover on April 22nd. That is about a month away. During a recent broadcast, Glenn Beck also discussed the possibility that a red heifer sacrifice could happen in the very near future. The following is an excerpt from a transcript of that broadcast. If you're going to rebuild the temple, you need to purify it. And purifying it, according to the book of Numbers, chapter 19, is a heifer, a red heifer ceremony. And that results in the creation of ash and water mixture. And that cleanses the entire nation of Israel from ritual impurity. And then the ceremony requires some of the blood to be sprinkled at the front of the tabernacle. That later became the temple. It usually took place at the Mount of Olives, where they are planning to do this again in the coming days. It's essential for all aspects of the temple and temple worship to take place. In addition, anyone participating in temple worship would be required to be sprinkled with the ash water. Beyond that, even without the presence of the physical temple, the ceremony would allow the general population to be ritually cleansed and remove much of the religious prohibition for a Jewish presence on the Temple Mount. Where are they planning on doing it? Well, they imported these red heifers before October 7th. We now know that Hamas said that this was part of the reason, because they're going to use the red heifers to purify the temple, which is desecration to them. purifying them so that they can actually go up, and even if there is no temple, they can pray as if they were in the temple. They're going to do this Passover weekend, so Easter weekend, he said. Now, there has been a lot of speculation on social media that a red heifer sacrifice could potentially take place on March 29th because the Sabbath of the red heifer begins at sundown that evening. Shabbat Parah for Hebrew year 5784 begins at sundown on Friday, 29th of March 2024, and ends at nightfall on Saturday, 30th of March 2024. This corresponds to Parashat Zav. Shabbat Parah, Shabbat of the red heifer, takes place on the Shabbat before Shabbat HaChodesh in preparation for Passover. Numbers 19, 1-22 describes the Parash Aduma, the red heifer, in the Jewish temple as part of the manner in which the Kohanim, and the Jewish people purify themselves so that they would be ready and pure to sacrifice the Korban Pesach. I have not been able to find any confirmation that a sacrifice will happen on March 29, so I don't know if we will see anything happen on that date or not. But I do believe that the Temple Institute fully intends to conduct a red heifer sacrifice at some point in 2024. And when that happens, Israel's enemies are going to go haywire. As CBS News has reported, Hamas has actually admitted that the red heifers were one of the reasons why they attacked Israel October 7. When Hamas spokesman Abu Ubaida began to a speech marking the 100th day of the war in Gaza, one confounding yet eye-opening proclamation escaped the headlines, listing the motives for the Palestinian militant group's October 7 event in Israel. He accused the Jews of bringing red cows to the Holy Land. The cows he was talking about are the red heifers, which now graze at a secure, undisclosed location in the Israeli-occupied West Bank. Some Jews and Christians believe they're key to rebuilding the Jewish temple that once stood in Jerusalem and to beckoning the Messiah. Once Israelis' enemies realize that the red heifer has been sacrificed, they're going to go absolutely nuts. So this is a really big deal. Let's keep watching and praying, because it appears that events in the Middle East are about to get very, very interesting. Michael Snyder reports on End of the American Dream. This is by Michael Snyder. It says about the author. Michael Snyder's extremely controversial new book entitled Chaos, available in paperback and for the Kindle on Amazon. He's also written 7 other books that are available on Amazon, including End Times, 7-Year Apocalypse, Lost Prophecy, The Future of America, The Beginning of the End, and Living a Life That Really Matters, commissions earned. When you purchase any of Michael's books, you help to support the work that he's doing. You can also get his articles by email as soon as he publishes them by subscribing to his Substack newsletter. Michael has published thousands of articles on the Economic Collapse blog, End of the American Dream, and The Most Important News, and he always freely and happily allows others to republish those articles on their own websites. You can connect with Michael on YouTube, Facebook, and Twitter, and sharing his articles on your own social media accounts is definitely great help. These are such troubled times and people need hope. John 3:16 tells us about the hope that God has given us through Jesus Christ. For God so loved the world that he gave his only begotten Son, that whosoever believeth in him should not perish but have everlasting life. If you have not already done so, we strongly urge you to invite Jesus Christ to be your Lord and Savior today. Kindly support my Patreon account. The daily posts are 5 videos daily, and they are totally different from what I have on my YouTube channel. Thank you so much for your support and that you find all my content so interesting. You'll find the Patreon account details in the description box below.